All right, hey again, everyone. Channel Futures editorial director Craig Galbraith here. It's time for another edition of Channel Futures TV. Chance today to talk with Maury Monroe. Maury is Vice President of Enterprise Sales at Transaction Network Services. Maury, how are you today?
Doing well. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. So I want to talk a little bit today about spoof calls. Doesn't sound like something too good, but why don't you start off by telling the audience what those are?
Sure. A spoof call is a growing problem, certainly within our industry and the consumers that receive them. Effectively, it's when a bad actor impersonates an enterprise. They can do that by copying their number and then essentially making calls from that number as though they are the enterprise. And they go through this initial effort to begin a well-orchestrated campaign to get you typically to share with them your monetary funds or whatever other information they can monetize.
Yeah, not good, not good. So, how big a problem is call spoofing, and how does it affect the outbound customer experience?
I think that it's getting almost quarter over quarter to a level that is a very significant concern. It's believed that it's around 70% of the impersonation calls are fully spoofed, I will say. They've gone through the time, like I mentioned, of acquiring that originating number to make them appear as though they are the enterprise. The impact to that consumer experience is significant as well, as loss of trust becomes very noticeable. Even all of us, myself included, if you answer a call, you have that initial apprehension that the person you're talking to isn't who they say they are. And we want to believe that if it is advanced enough to even include a branded name on the image of your phone, that it's effectively who's calling. But with the advancements in impersonation, they may send you an additional text message, or they may take the time to kind of hit you from a couple different angles. So this growing problem will also be complemented or accelerated by the advancements of AI. I mean, you could receive a call from someone who sounds a lot like somebody you're familiar with, friends and family, but because of that technology's capabilities to impersonate even those individuals, synthetically, if you will, you've got to be that much more on the lookout. And unfortunately, the brand degradation to enterprises that don't stop this behavior, that's the person who sometimes gets associated with the blame.
Yeah, so much to watch for out there today. So, tell me more about spoof protection. What is it and how does it work?
Spoof protection is the ability to only allow calls from originations, points of origination where they're authorized. If effectively you have a contact center or a campaign outreach and you can notify a provider such as TNS where those calls will originate, we can assure that any calls that don't originate from there are blocked. And that's a very key component. We need to restore trust in communications, something as simple as a telephone call. And in doing so, the actual bad actors, the impersonated calls need to be blocked. And that's our focus. That's what the technology's capabilities include. And when that happens, there's no voicemail left that you might return. There's no call that you might receive that you don't know. The smartphone simply won't ring. And that's tremendous value to the confidence of the consumer and the credibility of the enterprise.
100%. So, Maury, let's talk about the channel specifically. Why should the channel be taking this solution to their customers?
I think that the channel is always wanting to stay relevant as trusted advisors, and this problem doesn't just affect enterprises. We as consumers are also significantly vulnerable. So when the channel can reach out to their existing base at a preliminary level, it's a great way to show the consultancy that they're there to offer and new technology they can impose for the benefit of that enterprise. And when that is done, they enhance their offering. And it's a tremendous value on the existing base. You can reach out to new potential relationships. The product itself is a very minimal lift. So the deployment of it, even if we just simply provide a branded name service and then add the spoof services, both of those can be deployed in very quick periods of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks maximum. When we recognize that the install is complete, trusted advisors, TAs, they don't want to circle back a great deal. We all want to go work the next deal, and this technology doesn't require that. So once installed, it runs very quietly in the background. And effectively, the last thing, I think it's a great excuse to call a customer, as I maybe led with. Let's talk to those enterprises. Let's educate them on advancements in technology.
Quick turnaround and very efficient. Sure,
Absolutely.
our audience will like that for sure, Maury. So, how about an example of an organization using spoof protection and the difference it makes for them?
I think that one of the easiest verticals that is unfortunately hit the hardest is the financial sector. These institutions are targets for the most immediate impersonation objective, which is, hey, I've stopped fraud on your account. There's no problems. I'm taking care of you. As many impersonators say, to restore your account back to an active status, if you'll Zelle me $1,000, I'll Zelle it right back and we'll be good to go. Well, unfortunately, the second half of that equation never takes place. And it might be seen as though nobody would do that. But if you can get a 1 or 2% hit rate, it can be pretty profitable. So the primary beneficiary at this time is that financial institution. And unfortunately, the losses in that sector are significant right now. Most every bank, tier one, regional, even local banks are all needing to address this problem. And in doing so, it's going to have an associated cost. But I will say that that cost pales in comparison to the losses. And in doing so, the hard losses of the actual monetary remediation back to consumers is the easy calculation. It's the brand loss that any enterprise, as I mentioned before, they're the ones that are blamed, not the impersonators. They're gone. So protecting brand is critical, as well as the solvency of any business not wanting to fall victim to their customers being really overtaken by this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice, Maury. Thanks for joining us today on Channel
My
Futures
pleasure.
TV. Great catching up with you, what's happening at TNS, and learning all about spoof protection today.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.